All right, we are live today. Happy Thursday. We got Mr. John Bodnar on here today, special guest. We're going to be talking all things online training, personal training, mindset training, training. It's going to be lots of fun today. And so if you are new here, my name is Logan Manzanares. I'm a business owner, fitness professional, transformed well over 2,000 people's lives through this little thing we call health and fitness. I'm a real estate investor, a husband, a father, and one of the most grateful people on this planet. Today I have a special guest, Mr. John Bodnar, on here today. Be talking about all sorts of fun stuff. So before we dive into some amazing questions, John, do you mind giving us, the people out there, just a little 30-second overview, as quickly as you possibly can? Who are you before we get into the real questions? Let's go.
Who am I? All right. My name is John Bodnar, and I'm a coach. I am a personal trainer / life coach. And my purpose in life is to show people how to use their personal power to make good decisions and become the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be.
Heck yeah. So how did you get into personal training, life coaching, which really is what we call online training nowadays? So what was your journey into this field?
It was a long journey. You want me to go all the way back?
Well, like how long have you been in it for? How'd you get into it? All that cool stuff.
Got it. So I started off coaching my family, just helping my mom, helping my dad and my sister get into better shape, because it's something that I loved for myself and that I saw the benefits from, and I wanted to help them as well. And so that's how I got started into it in general. And so at the time I was working in software primarily, and then a change happened in my life, which I'm sure we'll get into, and I decided to look for something different. And I realized that, actually my wife helped me realize, that fitness is something that was coming easy to me. It was something I was still succeeding at when everything else was going poorly for me. And she pushed me to apply for a personal trainer job. And she actually is the one who found the application to Big Sky Barbell, to Wealthy Body Coaching. And I applied, met you, and here I am. So that was back in July of 2020. So it's been, we'll say, almost a year since I applied.
The summer of 2020. And so that big change, let's talk about that big change.
For sure. So I went to school for mechanical engineering. That was what I thought I was supposed to do, because I was really good at math in high school, and that's what the math kids did.
So not exercise science.
Not exercise science, no, mechanical engineering. And in college, it was a little bit harder than I expected it to be. And so to pay bills and to also make sure I could pay tuition and everything, because I was responsible for all of my expenses, I went and got a job. And I found a really good internship at a software company. So going from mechanical engineering into software isn't the most common transition, but it made some sense. And so I had an internship. I did extremely well. I became like the star of intern row, as it was said. I was the expert who was teaching people who had been there for years how to use certain pieces of the software to the best of their ability. And I was there for 3 years, built up a lot of rapport. And throughout that time, my school was suffering because I was not focused on it. I felt like I didn't have the ability to force myself to do the work. It's more than capable of it in terms of knowledge, in terms of maybe not knowledge, but we'll say intellect. Like, the material wasn't particularly difficult. It was doing it that was really hard, and I didn't address it till it was too late. So I ended up being suspended for a semester. I continued to focus on work during that semester, got really, really good, got a bunch of raises. And then when I told the internship program that I was going to drop out of college, they basically said, well, we want to keep you around. If you can find a full-time position here, we'll keep you. And so I did my darndest. I wrote up a job description for myself, the perfect job that I wanted at that company. And after 3 years of having a lot of rapport there, we had a meeting with the owners, sat down, and basically what they told me is like, oh, sorry, that's what we want this person to do. So we can't do anything for you. And I was on my own. They had a great send-off. Like, it was a good party. There are no hard feelings. But, well, at least on their end, I had a little on mine. And all of a sudden I was out of a job. Now, the good news is I found a job like 2 weeks later at another software company doing a very similar job. And I thought it was great. I thought it was the place for me. And so I was there for a year, and I ended up, I got fired because, for the same reasons as college. I felt like I didn't have control over what I was doing, over what I prioritized, where I put my energy. was an easy job. I'll be straight up with you. It was an easy job, but the hard part was actually doing it. And then the blessing for me, that was COVID, hit right after I got fired, 2 weeks after I got fired. And so I was fortunate enough to be in a similar position to a lot of other people at the same time. And it gave me some comfort, but it also allowed me to put things off. And so between the 4 months of when I got fired to when I applied here, things were not looking good. My wife was concerned about me. I was really concerned about me, but I wasn't taking action. And it helped me realize that that's really what I struggled with. It took 4 years of horrible struggle to realize that I struggle with taking action. I don't know how to take action. I don't believe that I'm capable of taking action. I've had glimpses of it, or had glimpses of it, and I knew what it felt like, but it wasn't repeatable for me. And now, going back to my wife realized, like, hey, this is the one thing you're not struggling with right now. Why don't you pursue it? And she was totally right with fitness. That's put me on a path to learning how to take action. And I'm actually a pretty darn good action taker now. I don't put things off anymore. I get stuff done. And having gone through that experience and continuing to go through it for ideally the rest of my life, this type of growth where I have this belief that I can't do something and changing it to something that I can do, that I'm amazing at, I want to pass that along to other people. And I know that through health and fitness is one of the best ways to do it, because when you start taking care of your mind to take care of your body, the rest of your life starts to fall into place as well.
It was really interesting. You said force yourself to take action, had to take action. That's what you're talking about with your old job, and now it's just like it's like you become natural at it. And I think one of the things I picked up on there is like when you follow your bliss, and you talked about like you just like fitness, and your wife obviously recognized that. It's like you should do this because it's something that you like do without any effort. And I thought that was a cool transition that you yourself, it didn't sound like you could see at the time, but your wife did. I think that's the benefit of having an awesome spouse or awesome mentors or people around you to be able to point those things out. So that was really cool. And so this, like, what, like when you got into this online training space, or into this personal training space, like, what did you think you were getting into at the time? Like go back to that time, like think about like what you thought you were going to be doing when you became a trainer.
Yeah, I thought I was going to help young guys like me get ripped. That's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I'd spend my whole day in the gym. I'd set up an email system for my clients where they could get in touch with me, and that would be it. Like I'd teach them all about the anatomy and how the body works and how to, like, basically how to get knowledgeable. That's what I thought I was going to do.
What do you actually do?
I coach. I actually help people change their lives by themselves into the life that they want, not what I envision for them, but by training their minds, coaching their minds, and yeah, some physical things too, like they got to learn stuff. But instead, it's so much focused on the individual and on the mindset, the soul, really, that allows people to make the awesome changes that I had in mind for people for years and years.
It's awesome. And some of this, so what were some of the what were some of the skills that you had to learn along the way in order for you to be in a position right now where you actually can truly transform people's lives? Like what are some of those skills slash just things you had to learn along the way?
Oh man, there are a lot. I'll pick up my top few. Number one was how to actually take action. So in order for me to be a coach and teach people how to take bold action towards changing their lives, I had to learn how to do it myself. And that's by far the greatest skill that I've learned is how to take control of things like my schedule or my eating, like basically fill out my calendar, for lack of a better term, I guess, because it is the real term. And so learning how to also talk myself through decisions and realize that everything is a choice. Everything is a skill too. One example is a semi-controversial statement is that happiness is a choice. And I feel like it's only controversial to those who don't understand it. But what it's really trying to say is happiness is a skill. Choosing happiness is a skill. And the same exact thing applies for me, is choosing action is a skill. So whenever I'm at a crossroads of like, okay, do I go do the thing that distracts me and feels good in the moment, hopping on YouTube or whatever else, or do I do the thing that I know is going to make me feel better to have it done and actually get that fulfillment. And so that's hands down the most important thing I've learned is how to talk myself through that decision, change my beliefs in the meantime, and make it so action is my default rather than something I have to force myself to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So taking action, obviously one of the big skills. What would you say is like the next big skill that you had to learn?
How to guide people in their own direction. You know, how to ask the right questions and lead rather than like tell someone what their problem is.
Yeah.
But I can tell someone all day long what they're doing wrong, but until I give them the opportunity or share with them the opportunity to change it and to create a life that they want, I'm never going to help anybody. Right? And in order to learn that skill, it's taken many conversations, many reps, and just understanding how to lead the right questions with the right frame, and not just point fingers. Say, hey, you're doing this wrong. Do this instead, because that doesn't help anybody.
And why do you say that? Because I think a lot of people think of as coaching as like that's what coaches do. They tell people what to do, right? And you're basically saying that you need to ask better questions. So I guess what is like obviously there's probably two camps. There's a camp of like you should tell people what to do versus ask them questions. Like what is the difference in that? And why do you believe that asking better questions is actually a better way to help people?
Well, I'll give you an example. So if I'm talking to someone who's considering a coaching program, I ask them what their struggles are. And I ask them like, okay, what do you actually want? Rather than saying, oh, you overeat, therefore, like you want to have a better relationship with food. Like it's helping people reach their own conclusions, because in order for someone to actually change, it has to happen internally. And yeah, external factors help. Having someone there to say, hey, you got to do this helps. Having the guidance helps. But until you make the change and realize why you want to do it, how you can do it because of who you are, not because of your circumstances, then I don't remember what I started that with, but basically until you do that, you're not going to make the change that you want. Yeah. So it's a difference between leading someone to their own answer versus giving someone an answer that isn't perfect.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. It's obviously the idea of like accountability by itself. People think of accountability, but like accountability are in both those camps, right? You can literally just like hold somebody's hand, or you can show them how to basically go without you eventually. Like you can hold their hand for a period of time, but eventually they can go on this journey without you. And I think that is something that we obviously are really big on, is that we don't want people to be dependent on us. We don't want people to like think of that like we're not your saviors, right? Like we are your leaders. And so we start by holding your hand, but eventually like the goal is for you to be able to go out on your own. And you do have the personal power to do this without us. And not be dependent on us, because the moment that it's literally just like a child, right? Like if you get baby the entire time, and that you're growing up, and all of a sudden you turn 18 years old, and all of a sudden life hits you in the mouth, you can't run back to mama. Or you could, maybe mom lets you move back in, but then you're the person who's 25 years old and you're in your mama's basement, right? Which was my brother for a long time, right? And it happens, but you basically hold that person back by not giving them opportunity to make the mistakes, to go out there and learn the right lessons, right? Mm-hmm. And so what are some examples where you have maybe seen that, where most coaches would be like, they're afraid to let their clients make mistakes, but you're out there letting your clients get the experience, learn the mistake, learn the right lesson, and then go ahead and give them the power so they actually can do this on their own?
I think the easiest place to look is nutrition. I don't say, hey, eat exactly this and good things will happen. No, if there's a plan, there's a guide there. But what happens is like I want people to not stick to it at some point, because actually the people that I tend to worry about are the ones who do everything perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, are you actually like learning along the way, or are you just really good at focusing for 12 weeks? And so if someone falls off on their nutrition plan, I just say, hey, I'd say like, oh, what happened? Or tell me about it. Or what can you do next time? Rather than saying, you got to stick to the plan, because when you stick to the plan, good things happen. Why aren't you sticking to the plan? And that's where the actual lessons are learned. That's where you make a change, is by saying, what can I do next time? Why do I want to do it? How do I feel now after having made a mistake? And for those who aren't watching, I put that in air quotes. It's so important to give as many opportunities for lessons as you can. Because if the lesson is don't do that, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's the thing that you tell them not to do. It might not be for a year, but it's going to happen. And it's going to happen hard.
Awesome. I love that. All right, and then one more skill. So let's go 3 skills here. What's the third skill that you've learned through this training process?
This one's more for me, but it's something that I want to pass along to others as well, is being conscious of who or what I give my power to. One of my favorite examples is if you let somebody ruin your day because they cut you off on the street, while you're driving, then you just gave that person all the power in the world to completely change your state, to change, ruin your day, like I said. And that's actually a specific example that I've struggled with is getting mad at drivers. And to this day, I get irritated, but most of the time, I just smile if somebody does something what I perceive to be dumb. And the reason that is important is if you go through life constantly getting upset by things that you have no control over, you are automatically giving up control of everything that you do have control over. And then you have no control in your life, and then everything goes the way you don't want it, and you're sitting there bitter because nothing worked out. And in order to get around that, be conscious of who you give your power to, what you give your power to. It's raining outside, day that you're hoping to go, like do something cool. Oh no, you don't have control over that. Figure something else out. Or be thankful that it's raining. We could have a nice green summer. Always look for the wins, especially in things that you don't have control over, because that's how you're going to get through life, constantly being fulfilled and happy and not getting bitter and depressed about things that, again, you do not have power over.
That's awesome. And tell me this, so you obviously work with lots of people, lots of clients. You have, I'm sure you've had clients that you love, certain clients that you don't love as much. And so tell me, what are your, what fulfills you? Because obviously when it comes to coaching, that's why all of us do, because we get fulfillment from seeing our clients make progress. But obviously we have weight loss results, we have strength results, we have mindset changes, we have different relationship things. So tell me what is one of the most fulfilling things for you that you see in a client?
Seeing an identity.
Yeah.
Seeing them going from a person who says, I don't have the time to take care of myself, to someone who says, I prioritize my time, or I make time for myself. Those types of changes are the ones that stick forever. And if you focus on changing your identity, what you believe in, what you believe about yourself, what you prioritize, then you're walking the path to greatness every single day. And when you're walking that path, when you're on that path, that's how you know that you can be successful, that you are fulfilled in that moment, because you are constantly working towards something bigger. And the physical changes are great. They're awesome to see. I love it. That's huge. But they're more of a side effect at this point of this identity shift to what we call a wealthy body, and being someone who knows what they want, is willing to put in the effort, understands that they are worth the effort, and again, turns from someone who says, I can't, to I do.
That's fire, dude. I love that. And then let me ask you this. So let's go back to your personal fitness journey. What are the things that excite you about your personal fitness journey right now? What's getting you off? What's getting you excited right now in your own personal fitness journey?
In my fitness journey, it's well, for one, I'm on a cut right now, which means I'm getting leaner. I'm hungry very often. But what's really exciting
is your body.
Fat leaving the body. Exactly. It's fat leaving the body and it's fulfillment coming in. That's what that hunger is. And so there's a lot of things that get me going about it. But right now, it's the fact that I'm still getting stronger in all of my main lifts while I'm losing weight. That's a pretty exciting thing. But what's more interesting to me is adapting plans when it starts to feel really hard. To where I was talking to you the other day about how what I was doing for meal prep was putting all of my food for the day in one container and just eating it throughout the day. And that worked really well until I found myself finishing it by 1 or 2 p.m. So then I had no food left for the rest of the day. Well, I need to do something different now. So I changed my plan. And that's where I get a lot of fulfillment, actually, is being willing to change plans, change my schedule, giving myself the freedom to do so. And knowing that I'm doing it because I'm going to be happy with that process because of where it's getting, or not because of where it's getting me. That's the side effect. So yeah, I'm the leanest I've ever been. I'm also the strongest I've ever been. That's really exciting. But it's more exciting to see my willingness to adapt and not give up and continue to take action day after day and setting myself up for that success.
That's awesome. And tell me this. So obviously, being a coach, being an online trainer, like it's a business. And so tell me like how is your business from like when it started, in July 2020 to where you are now? Like how's it evolved since that point? What are some of the things that what are some of the growth that you've seen since that point?
Most of it is in the quality of service I'm able to provide, and the number of people I'm able to provide it to. So we've changed systems. Without getting into details, we've just made a lot of changes that allow us to provide what we call epic value to clients. And when I first started, well, for one, I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of coaching. I thought I did, but I didn't provide the service that I wanted to. And so, having developed and just becoming a better coach, I have more capacity to help a lot more people at one time. I'm actually able to help people because I know how to guide them rather than just say, "Yo, do this. This is good."
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of impact that I'm having from a business perspective from when I started is kind of insane, actually. And there was a time a couple months in where I was getting a little discouraged. I'm like, my clients are doing fine, but like, I just don't feel good about what I'm actually giving them, and I don't feel good about asking for money for it. That's something that I've gotten over too. And now it's like, are you kidding me? We're only we're only asking this much to completely change your life. Like that's the attitude I have about it, because I know that the service that I'm able to provide now is pretty freaking amazing, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. And then how's that affected, your relationships, at home and being able to take care of, obviously you have a family and obviously take care of yourself. Like how's that changed from when you started to where you are now?
I'm a leader now. Before I was someone who wanted to be a leader and didn't know how. I was someone who was pretending to be a leader, but was instead sitting on the couch all day, not knowing what to do with my life. And now my wife and I, we meet every week to talk about our marriage and make sure that things are going well. We go over our finances together, and I'm the one leading those conversations. And it's not because that's necessarily what Nicole is my wife's name, what Nicole necessarily needs, but I know it's what she wants, and it's what I want. So therefore, that's the relationship that we are developing. I'm also noticing that I have quite the impact on people around me that I didn't even realize I was having an impact. Like for an example, I went to a party, a graduation party a couple of weeks ago and a lot of people were there that I used to work with at my first job, that internship. And because of the physical differences that they noticed in me, they started asking me questions like, okay, what do you do? Why do you have this Christmas cookie tub full of food when you're at this barbecue? Like, tell me more. And to have that sort of impact without even really putting myself out there, but just by existing and commanding a certain space, it's really amazing what impact I'm having on people. And I'm not really coaching my family anymore, and yet they're all doing better. And I know it's not to toot my own horn, but I know 100% that it's largely in part due to what I am doing and how I'm doing it. And so, yes, the simple answer is the impact that I have is so much higher than the effort level required, or perceived effort at least.
Mhm.
It's very, very rewarding and super exciting.
Fire. And what sort of advice would you give to all the young trainers out there, people who are just getting into it, or even better, to young John as he's getting ready to, get in there and be in the gym all day and, set up his email? Like, what sort of advice would you give to him now, knowing what you know now as he's just getting started?
There's a lot. Biggest thing is that first of all, it takes time. Be kind. Be kind to yourself. Be patient,
Mhm.
but don't misconstrue that patience as taking it easy on yourself either. And this is going out to young John here. Um, you have what it takes. Might not know how to access it, but it's there. Use it. Believe in yourself. Be kind to yourself, and most importantly is make decisions. Don't live by default. Be a creator and focus on what skills are necessary in order to do that. And that's something I wish I had heard a long, long time ago. Long time.
Awesome. Love that. Love it. Love it. Great affirmations, great mantras, great words of wisdom. And then John, any final words that you want to say, that you want to tell to yourself, to me, to the people out there? What do you want to leave it on?
So maybe this not where I was expecting to go, but be aware of what you think and what you say. Be aware of how it affects you and affects the people around you. Be conscious of your language. Don't focus on what not to do, which is ironic because I just told you not to do that. But instead, focus on what to do, how you want to be, how you want to be perceived, and strive for that. And do it fearlessly. Be ready to fail. But as long as you learn a lesson in every single thing that you perceive as a failure, then it's not actually there.
Yeah.
So be conscious.
Love that. Failure's a choice, right? Failure's a choice. All right, John. Well, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you hopping on today and sharing your story and giving your words of wisdom. Always a pleasure. So happy Thursday, whatever day it is that anybody else is watching this, consuming this. John Bodnar, appreciate you. My name is Logan Manzanares, and I'm out. See you guys later.
Appreciate you too, man. See ya.
Bye.